Hey guys, thank you so much for coming by the garden today. I am so excited because we're going to talk about berries today. We have so much produce growing in the garden. We got flowers blooming, which is so important for your berries. Now, a lot of berries are self-pollinating, and there are a lot of, crazy things that happen to berries with the pH. So we're going to start with pH because that is so important when growing any type of berry. Now, the type of berries I'm growing are these blackberries here, which are just regular blackberries. We're growing her vertically, so we're not letting her sprawl out on the ground. Look at all that foliage and berries she's got producing. And this is so important. pH is so important. Now, there's acidic pH and there's alkaline pH. Alkaline pH is above a 7. 7 is neutral, so 7 pH is neutral, which is where you want your tomatoes. Tomatoes like to be at like a 6, 7. Peppers like to be at a 7. It all depends on what you're growing, so you're actually going to have to do some research on the type of pH your plant requires. Now, I know my blackberry loves to be at a 6, so if I keep her at a 6, she's going to be happy. She's going to be producing like she is, and you can see we have nice, thick, juicy blackberries, and they're turning red once they get nice and big. So make sure that they are growing properly. This is the #1 key your pH is off. If your blackberries are not looking like this and they're not full before they start turning that red color, then you need to probably test the pH because it's off, and you're gonna have to adjust that. So I use pH down a lot here in Florida because we get a lot of rain, and it's just something I have to do quite often, maybe once a week or so. And I know my berries are going to be good to go. So this is my big blackberry, which I've propagated 2 berries off of already. We'll go and show you. We got 2 more propagating on the bottom here. The one on the right in the soil is actually a little baby that started popping up, which we propagated 2 plants this way. They just kind of pop up sporadically, so she's turning into a plant. Propagated one of them. She's big enough to pull now. And then this one rooted itself. So I have one that rooted underneath. It rooted itself in the ground, in the soil. So if you leave like a branch like this sitting on this, oop, I just broke that, which needed to be done anyway, because there's no foliage. See, when there's no foliage on your branch and it's really long, I had just cut that one. And this one, I cut this way. It produces, see how it branches out? Produces new growth to come in each node. So that one's rooting, and I just tested the soil and had to lower it because we get a lot of rain. So pH is going to be #1 usually with something that's wrong. If you're getting poor growth, poor production, your pH is usually probably going to be off. And that's what I go for first. Make sure they're staying well watered. They like to be moist but not sopping wet. This was a little baby we pulled that was kind of big when we did pull it, but it got stalled out. It started dying off, which happens because it got so stunted the way I pulled it. Even though I got a little root in there with it, it just kind of stalled out on me, which happened. So I kept it out of direct sun this whole time, and I just started acclimating. I put it in 4 hours of sun, then I acclimated to 8 hours of sun. Took about 3 days to get this little guy back in full sun from indirect sunlight. And you can see all that new growth. We're getting 3 branches coming up from each node. So each flower point right here is going to produce like 3 little branches that shoot up. We're going to get a nice blackberry propagation just like this one. You can see we propagated her, and she has that nice branch growing about right now, which I had to kind of stalk up, and her pH likes to stay at a 6, and she does really happy at a 6. You can see that back view. I love my garden, the way it's starting to fill in with the sunflowers. And then that's it for them. They really like a wood chippy soil, so I used my Raised Organics Harvest Mix. It's called Harvest Organics Raised Bed Mix. And we're starting to get flowers on our raspberry. I'm going to have to post a pH for these down below because I'm not really sure. But the soil, I like to top off with a good inch layer of that Raised Organics mix, which we'll go ahead and show you the bag in a little bit here. And then I like to mix, this whole pot was brand new. So what I mixed in here, it was a really big pot. She was in a little pot like that blackberry is. That little blackberry baby over there, she was in a pot like that on that stand. So we had to get her into something bigger. You can see how big she's gotten. She's producing for me, so I know she's happy. And she's in a half burpee soil mix, so burpee organic soil, and then she's in a half raised garden bed mix with a little bit of my fresh compost, like a good shovelful, and then she has some Coco Loco potting soil in there. Sorry, I'm just looking at these blueberries here. That mower and blower is kind of distracting. But yeah, she's in, so 1 part of my burpee, 1 part of my Coco Loco, and 1 part of my raised organics mix. I really like to use that. And then I add a little perlite if I need to, but I didn't. And then we fix the pH on this blueberry. So the blueberry, you can see we have nice blueberries. This is how they should look. They should start to ripen, which I just picked a bunch this morning. We picked a bunch more, like for the past 3 days we've been picking. So her pH is correct. Now blueberries, they like to be more acidic. Raspberries, I think they like to stay at like a 6, like my blackberry over there. But this blueberry really likes an acidic soil, and it's a dwarf sunshine blue blueberry bush. You can see we have lots of new healthy growth pushing out, and we didn't, like her blooms were dropping off. She was getting a little funky looking in color, which you can kind of see, like she gets like a lime green type yellow look color. Those are bad blueberries, like they were not ripening right. I'll show you a nice good batch, which we have right here. See this batch of blueberries right here? This is a nice good batch that's ripening correctly. They're nice and blue, they're healthy looking, and they're not ripening before they get big. So they really need to get like this big before they start ripening. See that? These are really big blueberries, so they need to get really big before they ripen, and they need to stay really big. So if they're looking a little funky in color like this, you can see this whole branch is like a lime green. This whole branch was not ripening correctly. Didn't get enough sun. Now we're doing good. We got nice blueberries ripening. They're turning back in color. We got more ripening right here, and you always want to rotate your plants. She likes to stay at a 4.5 to a 5.5, so she can go like up or down a little bit, and that'll be okay for her. And she's in the same kind of soil, but she's in more of a Coco Loco soil because I haven't repotted her in 2 years. This is a 2-year-old blueberry bush, so she'll start to lose a little foliage. You can see like she looks bare, but she's gonna lose that foliage because as she loses the foliage, you know, she pushes blueberries out on the top. It's just kind of a way, I guess, they save energy. I've learned all I know about growing by doing it myself and studying the plant myself and seeing what they're doing, how they're producing, how they're growing, why is this happening? You know, is it normal? I look up, you know, university sites, school sites. You want to go on reliable sites, and this is normal. She's going to start dying on the bottom, but yet she's going to start pushing out a lot of new growth. So she's going to have a lot of new growth as well, like this. So at like every leaf point where you lose a leaf, she's going to grow some new healthy growth in there. And I don't trim at this point. I let her rock out, do her thing. I feed every 2 to 3 weeks with a fresh compost topping, and that's for all my blueberries, blackberries, and raspberry plants. All my plants in general, my watermelons, my carrots here, my green beans, my eggplants. I do that for everything. And this is a strawberry. So her I repotted. This is my Harvest Organics raised bed mix. And I really love it, you guys. I save the bags because I'm a hoarder and I recycle everything. So if you cut the top off your bag, you'll be able to utilize this bag for a garbage bag to come. But this soil is really nice. And this is my strawberry. You can see she's pushing out nice berries. Now, she was stunting out, her berries were turning brown, and she wasn't growing. Her foliage was dying. I literally had like 2 leaves. This leaf was on there, which you can see is brown and spotted. That's how it was looking, really bad. And I knew something was wrong, so her pH was off too. Now, my strawberry loves to be at like a 6. So she really likes to stay at a 5.5 to a 6. And you can see all that new healthy growth in the center. She's not turning brown. She's not getting brown spots, and she's starting to grow. So I didn't bury the crown too much because strawberries, you really don't want to bury the crown more than you see there. You want to let her sprawl out because that growth is going to come about. And this is my Harvest Organics raised bed mix on top. So that's why I love it so much, just because of the way it looks. You know, it has like a nice soil base mixed in there with it. It's a nice wood chippy mix, so it keeps the soil nice and moist. And berries in general love like a half chip soil. Like they like wood chips, pine bark chips, any kind of wood chips. But I feel like this is really good. This is a really good mix to use for them. They really like this. And I'll dig right in the bag for you so you can see this stuff. I mean, it's really nice. It's got a soil in it too. And I used it mixed in here. What I did was I took half of this tote out. So usually I had a video on getting my totes ready for regular produce, like you see here, my green beans and my carrots and stuff, and my normal stuff, tomatoes. I get all that stuff ready the same way pretty much. Well, this one's a little different. I use half of that raised bed mix, half of my burpee, a little bit of the Coco Loco, and a little bit of my compost. So I get a nice wood chippy mix. They love a nice wood chip mix, but you can see all the rest are in as well. I hope this video helps you guys in the best way possible. Just remember to keep your berries nice and moist. They really like a nice moist soil at this point, and you'll be good to go, you guys. I hope this helps you. Give them lots of sun. Remember, they like 8 hours of sun plus, and if you're noticing poor growth, no blooms, blooms are dropping, and you're not getting pretty growth like this with spots on them, then you need to change that soil. Check the pH, you know, repot her if you need to, because she was in such a tiny pot like what that blackberry was in, and she just needed room. She was getting killed off because she was root bound. So I planted her, and now she's growing beautifully. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. Hope you liked this video. If you did, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time out in the garden. Thank you so much for watching. As always, happy planting. Bye-bye.